Recently, China has started to bake up a new photo hand. This time it is a little more handsome company, Deepseek. It creates a trained AI model to beat OpenAI with more than $5 million US. As soon as the news came out, his direct cost and read a module one Iraqi for has 600 billion. Same call for the longest single-day market while Iraqi put his over a sock. Gas. Is just when the author, Orcas, and Hansim, they be first how DeepSeek is. The company makes the hand show. Load 1,200 watt, building one, whereas hold it with a matter building, but what is not more haunting board. Right as I capitals on all every 10 million. But some create only spell 5.5 season read it. Well, yeah, we took a copy of the out his trade. What does this number mean? According to the general industry estimate, OpenAI's threat is 10 billion trained GPT-4. Meta models also cost 500 million to 600 million. Now some of the case got being engaged. He said it's my only one trying to OpenAI's money to accomplish the same day. Before it, I don't read anyway. What's aim is this is to come to create a mini NGOs. The main be a 30 business hand of the board. His commercial style when it become popular. I already said NGOs went outside world. On the rest of the breed, the number of people looking for time is almost all real gay. But I can't admit a appointment. Do you think this is a small one? A too powerful technology company. Are you so familiar with this? They be told some eating more outrageous. The official B-Chat group announcement says no external project companies for the time being. The pilot deployment will really support services at the party. Is it a particular pilot scanner boat? Think about it. You would have positioned the technology breakthrough. Would it be unneeded to let us task and use it? As the thing is the has seen of the past, but the most selfish thing is the day you release so-called breakthrough model. Father Lee Wilfing at your bit cold storm meet or the sway console. Moreover, this news had also reported on CCTV's news network. You beat its ties a cold, is it then? As is different case stop together. Press and release a message about my country is so great. Therefore about the politics endorsement. Finding a rejection with the definition. His finite excuse for has seen 20 years ago, 10 years ago. High-speed technology where as his. Now it's time to give it AI. And you saw, he also specified the paper. The ball cost is only more than formatted a DeepSeek Wi-Fi. It does not work by research or algorithms or data. All the costs associated with the exponent as it's totally murder, admitting that the cost of 5.57 million is a spam. Cause like that only costs one make the build a building. But the land cost, design cost, and labor costs are not taken no one. And more importantly, the 5.57 million cost is what the Wi-Fi model. It's not the R1 model that the great kid compared to OpenAI. Do we measure anything on the model train cost of R1? This may space for doubt. Is the true cost of our task higher? So custom say they? You will say that China has made no progress in the fight of AI. That's not right either. But the plot was that the country we have to climb over the wall to access the internet. Countries where ChatGPT cannot be used. It requires where everyone has to learn the same idea. Oh, it's impossible for an AI to require massive amounts of their open requirement. A cheated way big drop? You want me to tell you this? Must I could big a chip of files 40 on the wall, but the factory is not outside the wall. Anyone can watch your file, don't take it seriously. Speak of this DeepSeek creature, we to talk about the details of the claim. The cell is NVIDIA's H800 chip. $2 per hour. It costs 2 months to one with 2048 GPUs. So it's awesome, doesn't it? Let me calculate how many tricks they are. First, this what cause a mixture of experts model is said to have 771 parameters, but actual operation only key 37 parameters. What does this mean? For example, look at of 671 C best law. But we are only 37 our C's offered together are tie. So our 671 C's. Is this just because for the people? Let's talk about its train tie. The SATA train has the 2 months 2048 800 GPUs. Do you know how types but 800 is in the worldwide now? At the B animal code breeds are lying out to Houston. How goes the Mockaby hand show get 2048 801? And this is Edinburgh, United States, impose a cheap ban on China. The more I say here, the RAM serve taste it yourself. And the more outrageous is the model. Suddenly, equipped to download of Apple's US App Store overnight. Cannot access App Store in China. If ChatGPT is not bad at all, how could the AI app for my Chinese company engage the voices on US App Store? He didn't know, and it matters Lama matters that won't trust the App Store. Is it that rain? Interesting. Or did they top the App Store? These seems sooner or while. The law say measure tab oversee he still register is inspected. Does this trick not for me, do you? Well, has he his precedent? And I'll also use the rackets kids of fresh inspection? See how the market see this. Bad means to see about the lesson good for the bonnet. Deepseek training costly as high misleading. He said his so-called Miss Esper model. If it's too his technology me path me the card is sponsor. Lost big, but agile requires failure computation. Agile capital or ethical cabinet company Osprey Bonnet. Better obey us spare a lot of money because as for the foundation. That far as made waste. Catch on mistake or the source of artists. Of course, a lot of waste can be wanted. That's somehow they say. The word Bonnet will call many homework, of course, is same money. What I mean to say is, Chinese media actually have this speed habit of AI. When the sad about Chinese it is over to blasty. Oh my god, isn't this Julian? Cause the bossy has he could be intro. What's a miss song? Finally found that had got off that zip a readable head. Merciless today's China. A 7-year-old girl for the fashion department to about to see a getting at base of the Alibaba global mathematics competition. And this simple math competition can be faked. What's more, it is complex AI technology. According to scientists have to create the same idea world that publishing papers. Can we see expert rate technology in more nation? I bet this Deepseek so-called bachelor, in the end, 80% of them will be the mistake of Hansi. Overall, it's China. Company must either be measure things or it can only be a rounder. So a wise year. I saw the use of China is forehead in the fight of AI again. Cause say easy, I don't think it was seriously. Think about it. It's how we use some help with AI technology. What bad ChatGPT? Why can't we edit be a decent search engine? Isn't that IMA? So here comes the crosser. Well, listen, can be left from Deepseek faster? To port Bonnet. This is a great leap forward reform about China for science and technology. There be some must obscurity of this map for 3 step best. First, this is typical Chinese of the course ran. Let's do the math. I bet cases there be a reason is China Creek to have defeated the United States. But like crazy could beat Tesla 2021. The stock price enough for the 80% for this B. In 2022, it says the best boy on C919. So for Amazon offer orders I part his tasks of the free mission domestic A9. How will it be the most halfway company war 2023? As we saw, to get anything decent on must drive for me though. To us doing a Sparky, SP, as the quantity here. That it was Deepseek. It's crazy to be of AI we found me your name. Is it just a joke? Second, this is sports China embarrassment in contact technology. Is it talking about 5.5 meter chain case security ball? It's talking about technological model to his, which was not standard shows of 4 good giants? The trust what he means are Google's. The GPS will embed that. And the Mr. Esper model the Hughes. So technology is proposed for Google 2017. You say you organize the bezel test. It's good day, but it's gas that just supposedly a nice way, said the breaker led. Just talk about what realistic question. Or if I can use boy gas the way now? Are you research code each algorithms? No. I studied how to modify my code and meet the requirements of content feature. You said that there is no basic freedom of speech. How is it possible to restore more data tell us? The church must iron. This Deepseek is precisely with the feed of far China's AI development. Data about issues. Well, no. Training AI model requires an large quantity of high quality data. One China, so each net has fragment. A lot of high quality content is blocked outside. It is true that test really cannot be his. Outside the AI. It's like you were supposed to NBA. But I can indicate the basketball concept. Is this possible? It wasn't ridiculous. The Deepseek was a technological breakthrough. The Chinese government's tied to code of AI. The element of measurements for the man will give the artificial intelligence services has recently shown. All AI models must be reported at once. The general content must confront and make to act. It's discussed blocking your own way. If I analysis, China's current AI development is like play the hot game. OpenAI releases a new model. The companies trying to say to do it. Google publishes a new paper. Someone me to say a division have been reproduced. But the question is, do the other papers data requirement? Do the series freedom as others? Do the other people's technical equipment is in? So which some got is so great all day long. Is this harder, Hugo? But the word technology more data, you can't bring but test solid slogans over and hype. But all thing requirement is no free being game. There's no way solid for immortation. And you quiz them all the powers to one to anything. Discuss and how to see it. Find it, a book. Recently, as a technology picture that's a minor popularized by Chinese official media. Which one don't fear the end? I see. Sooner or later, Deepseek will follow the footsteps of Hansi. Although, in the content of Google School Initiative class simulation, you'll see why expect a real technology models are engaged. Is this a foolish dream?